Welcome to Episode 1 of our Apologetics series. Today we're laying a foundation many believers desperately need in a world full of skepticism, spiritual confusion, false doctrine, and non-stop misinformation. Our objective in this episode is simple: to equip you with a deeper understanding of why defending the faith is essential right now, and to build your confidence that apologetics is not arguing. It's discipleship, it's evangelism, it's protection. It is part of what it means to follow Jesus in a culture that questions everything. Let's begin with our core scriptures. First, 1 Peter 3:15 tells us, "Be ready to give an answer." Jude 1:3 urges us to contend for the faith. Acts 17 shows Paul reasoning and persuading using evidence. And 2 Corinthians 10 reminds us that we are called to pull down arguments and strongholds, not with anger, but with truth. These scriptures show that apologetics is not optional, it's biblical. Now let's talk about the reality of the world we live in. Today's believers face online debates, Netflix documentaries, TikTok theologians, podcast prophets, and atheist influencers with massive followings. For many Christians, the issue is not a lack of faith, it's a lack of understanding. And here's the truth: doubt is not the problem. Unanswered doubt is the problem. When believers don't know how to answer basic questions about their faith, they become vulnerable. Their children become vulnerable. Their entire church becomes vulnerable. The early church exploded with growth, not just because they prayed and evangelized, but because they could explain their faith with clarity and boldness. Today, we must recover that same strength. Let's move into the major teaching portion of our episode. First, apologetics protects believers. Most people do not lose their faith because of sin. They lose it because of unanswered questions. When those questions pile up without guidance, confusion grows, doubt grows, and deception becomes easier. Apologetics strengthens biblical literacy. It builds confidence. It protects families, and it equips parents to disciple their children in a rapidly changing world. Second, apologetics equips evangelism. We are living in a culture where evangelism cannot just be emotional, it must also be intellectual. People today are not rejecting the real Jesus. They're rejecting caricatures of him. They're rejecting misinformation, half-truths, and distortions. Evidence-based evangelism opens doors that emotion alone cannot. Apologetics meets skeptics where they are and invites them into the truth. Third, apologetics honors God. Loving God with your mind is worship. Asking questions is not doubt, it is hunger. Isaiah 1:18 shows God's invitation: "Come, let us reason together." Truth has nothing to fear from investigation. Every honest question points toward a deeper revelation. Fourth, apologetics builds courage in a hostile culture. Faith doesn't collapse because it's challenged, it collapses because it's unprepared. Believers need boldness at work, boldness at school, boldness online, and apologetics gives that courage. We live in a time where Christians must be culturally aware, but biblically anchored. Now let's highlight a few key apologetic arguments that every believer should begin to understand. Christianity is not based on blind feeling. It is rooted in historical events. The resurrection is verifiable. The Bible is historically reliable. Objective moral laws point us to an objective moral lawgiver. And science, when honestly examined, points more toward intentional design than accidental randomness. These truths form the foundation for confident faith. Let's talk practical application. I encourage you to identify the top 3 questions you're afraid someone might ask you about your faith. Write them down, study them, turn your fears into areas of growth. Encourage your family to begin weekly apologetics conversations. Use dinner time, car rides, prayer nights. Any moment can become a teaching moment. Begin journaling doubts so they become subjects of study, not sources of shame. And as leaders, whether you are a pastor, a parent, a mentor, or a ministry worker, consider integrating apologetics training into your youth groups, marriage ministries, new believers classes, and leadership development. Let's take a moment for a brief ministry moment. Lord, give me confidence. Strengthen my faith. Develop my mind. Help me answer with love, clarity, and truth. Make me a defender of the faith, not out of pride, but out of purpose. Amen. As we close, remember this. In a world that questions everything, the people of God must be ready to answer anything. Stay tuned, because in the next episode, we're confronting one of the biggest questions in culture today. What is truth, and why is the world so confused about it? I'll see you next time.